Hey guys, it's been a few days. Let me get you up to speed at what's been going on and how long we got until Power Tour. It's not long at all. So, the 350, I've got the short block together. I mean, it's all together apart from oil pan. I mean, the mains, rods, all torqued down, pistons in, rings gapped. So we're good to go. Now, I mocked up the heads, my junk heads, with some cardboard because whenever the cardboard's smushed, it's similar compressed thickness as my head gaskets. So, I had planned on going ahead and mocking up my headers so we can get the crossover pipe measured, cut, put a weld on the V-band. So I can, get that done out of the way so we can just unbolt the headers, get the motor in, and then just, bolt it together like a actual, buy it at the store kit that's supposed to fit. So that was my plans, but I got my heads back. So now what I'm going to do is take these off, finish cleaning up my head bolts. I've got all the short bolts for the bottom that I've got finished cleaning up. Then I am ready to bolt these on. I'm ready to put my push rods in. I can check and see, I can get my guide plates all lined up. And then I can check piston to valve clearance. And that'll be fun. Because if it's wrong, I'm going to have to pull the water pump back off and I'm going to have to time the cam. I'm hoping it's not, because I went ahead and put the water pump on. Went ahead and put the harmonic balancer. I've already put the crank pulley, water pump, timing cover. I've already got the front accessory all on, except for the alternator, power steering, blah 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 brackets. Let me show you what's going on with that though, because I'm in a pickle. I'm in a predicament. Now, if worse comes to worse, I do have a set of brackets to use. I'll just take them off my other motor, my 350 over here. I'd prefer not to, but if worse comes to worse, I will do it just because I need this motor running. But I do have the smog pump, AC pump, brackets, good to go. That's all fine. And today I went to pull apart and found a AC delete pulley. So this just bolts right smack dab right there. Belt goes around it. And I can use that whole bracket with the tensioner. I already know how to route it without the smog pump because of that. So I'm good right there. But my alternator and power steering pump bracket, the ears chopped off right there. And that is one of the mounts for the alternator. So this bracket's junk. So I'm in a pickle. I need one bracket, the alternator / power steering bracket. So if worse comes to worse, I'm going to steal it off that. I hope not. I hope to find one that I can use and just keep it on this motor. But we don't always get what we want. Because like with that, whenever I was taking off the alternator bracket, it broke. So let's get to work pulling these heads back off, putting those heads on, and measuring piston and valve clearance. right, guys, I'm calling it quits for tonight. Oh, one of my plans didn't work. I've had these lifters apart. I had lifters apart exactly like this, and I forgot all about the spring inside the lifter. So what I was going to do was check my piston and valve clearance by just, getting all the spring pressure on the spring, lifter, and letting the lifter bleed down. I forgot all about the spring in the lifter. So whenever the spring pressure's off of the valve, the lifter pumps right back up. So my plan ain't gonna work. Tomorrow I'll figure out something with this. I've got it roughly 20-30 degrees before the number 2 piston is at top dead center on the exhaust stroke. So I'll measure my piston to valve clearance with cylinder number 2, since I've already got I'll figure something out with this. I have to figure out a way to hold the valve up while I check everything. So that's a tomorrow's me problem. Right now, me is ready for bed, and I don't know where my check spring is. So I'll figure something out. Don't know what yet. I ain't got no way of pushing on a... Oh, I'll figure something out. But anyway, so I went through, got my guide plates all lined up. And now what I was doing, it's nothing bad, nothing hard. It just a little time consuming. And pretty much every single one of these studs goes straight to a water jack or oil, place where oil can splash up. So I went ahead and put thread seal or a plumber's tape. It's Anyway, I put some of that on all of the rocker studs. Now all you gotta do to align the guide plates, just make sure that as the roller is as close to the middle of the tip of the valve as possible, just side to side. Now this is all the way up on the exhaust stroke, and this is also a 1.6 ratio rocker, which I'm not using, so that is not going to be that extreme. This one's almost dead on, side to side. It will go off the valve just a smidge, but it's not going to be a big problem because 90% of it is still on the valve stem, and that one's at the base lobe still, so that's good. All the rest of them checked out perfect. Whenever it's up on the lift, it is a little off on a couple of them, but again, these are 1.6 ratio rockers. I'm not using them right now. I'm gonna be taking my other motor apart. I don't like scavenging parts, but I don't have any roller 1.5 ratio rockers, and I did order 50 thou offset keepers for this motor, which is what this motor needed before. I didn't account for the shims. So I'm going to harvest the 1.5 ratio rockers off this motor, put the 1.6s on this, take the 1.5s, put it on that, and boom, I've got 1.5 ratio full roller rockers. So that's the plan for tomorrow. Still got a lot to do. By the way, not painting anything on it. It's going to be a ratty looking motor. It's perfect for ratty ass looking car. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all in the morning. I'm going to go get some shut eye. Power tour is only 4 days away. Yes, 4 days away. And we still got a lot to do. And I mean a lot. So last time I checked in with y'all, still had the motor on the motor stand over there. Putting it together. Waiting on my heads. I got the heads back. Got it all together. Went through. Got my studs in. Guide plates aligned. Rockers on. Harvested the rockers off my old one over there. And we're almost there. We're in the final stretch. We still got some stuff to do though. Quite a bit. But we are in the final stretch here. I've got about probably less than 20 things to do. But we're going to get there. We're going to do everything we can. Even if it means the turbo's sitting there looking pretty, not hooked to anything, just blowing hot air everywhere, and just running it naturally aspirated out there and back. But it'll be there. So, as you can see, there's a jumbled up mess in here. And I mean a mess. This bracketry right here has been a hassle and a half. And I ain't kidding you. I'm not kidding you one bit. So, there is a local pull apart, pick apart, whatever you want to call it. About hour and a half away. Yeah. So, went through, was going to get both brackets. That way everything matched to get the crank pulley, whatnot. But whenever I was getting the alternator bracket off, it broke. So, whoops. But on the bright side, I did get one thing that I really wanted, and that was the AC delete pulley. So now I don't have to run that heavy ass AC compressor. So now everything's somewhat lined up. We got there's my parts guy leaving. Got everything somewhat lined up. Had to take a old crank pulley and cut it up just so I had a little spacer to put on here, and everything seems to line up perfectly. So that's good. That's real good. But man, has it been a hassle. That alternator has been in the back of the garage for God knows who long. How long? Who long, how long, whatever. And apparently it's an LS alternator. So it's a 4-wire. 5 if you count the back. So today, what I'm going to do, see, here's my lovely list. We still got to put the fuel pump on, fuel regulator, Edelbrock carburetor. I've got 2 of them. One from a swap meet. I've got it for 15 bucks. It was locked up solid. And then one from a friend that was also locked up, but I saved it. So I've got 2 to make 1. I got some jets and metering rods and springs and stuff. We're going to turn this thing into a boost loving carburetor, hopefully. We'll find out. Plumb the turbo return. We still got to measure it and cut it, but now I've been waiting on a spacer. Spacer came in. I can't show it to you right now because my dad, aka the parts guy, he just left with it to go get some bolts to fit. So yeah, mountain wire of the starter, that's not going to be bad. I've got a little mini starter that I used on my 350 over there. I'm just going to use it. I know that the flywheel tooth count is the same. We've got starters everywhere around here, but I believe all of them is for a 163 tooth flywheel, while I need the 152 or whatever, 151, 150. Yeah. Wire the alternator. We got to do the resistor thing to turn this into a 1-wire alternator, plumb into, or wire it into a 12-volt ignition. So when you turn on the key, it tells the alternator, hey, time to start charging this thing. So, power steering pump. We got a, oh, okay, see, here's more issue. That bracket came off of a 4.3 that I bought at the parts guy's place. He had it in the back of his shop. I just bought the whole motor because it had the bracket I needed. Oh, we couldn't get the pulley off. Our pulley remover broke. So we just sliced that thing off. So now we've got to buy a new one to take that power steering pump off, put it on here, and plumb it all in. So that's next. Distributor, I've got a distributor ready to plop in. I'm going to prime everything first. I've got a tool somewhere around here. Just plop it in the distributor hole, spin it with the drill. It primes everything, lubes it up. So we're going to do that first before I put the distributor in. I still got to do the bell housing bolts, torque converter bolts, and tail lights, because this thing has brake lights but no running lights. Cops don't like no running lights or brake lights. Cops like having lights. So we still got to figure that out. If it comes down to it, I'll just ride the brakes everywhere. Then it's technically running lights. You can see me. So I've still got a lot to do. I'm going to start with trying to wire up this alternator. No, I might wait for that. Ah, heck. There's so much I don't know what to start on. I need to mount my fuel pressure regulator. I may start with that if I can find some self-tappers around here. And jacking up the car. And we do need to do exhaust, but that's not necessary. I'll just do it, you know, just bloop, if need be. So let's get started. Let's get to work. See how much I can get done. I've got work tonight. It is like 11 o'clock. Let's see. Yes, it's 11:46. So I've got roughly about 4.5 hours. Let's see how much we can get done. Oh, and I can't get the Edelbrock rebuild until Friday, tomorrow. So if need be, I've got a Quadrajet ready to go on. We'll just run it with the Quadrajet because I want to hear this motor run. I want to make sure that the motor runs all right. You know, ain't got like a severe miss. Ain't got a, you know, wrist pin going out. So yeah, that's on the agenda. Let's get started. Let's get to work. Let's see how much we can get done before I gotta go to work. Yeah, this is Power Tour bus time. Guys, welcome back. It's the next day. It's Friday. We're running down out of time. I got a grand total of today, tomorrow, Sunday, and maybe Monday morning if need be, to get this car running and driving. Hopefully it don't come to that, but we'll see. So let me show you everything that I got done yesterday, which was a grand total of not much because stuff happened up at the house that needed my attention. So alternator is wired in. Fuel regulator, fuel pressure regulator is mounted right there. Turbos mounted on actually this time. It's got studs. The father and I decided to do studs to do that because the plate would not allow for 2 bolts to go in. You know, if one was in, then the other couldn't go in, and then if yeah. So headers on, spark plugs on. Had to butchery that. We tried bashing it in, but we couldn't get bashed enough. We couldn't even get the spark plug in because it was just rubbing that header just enough. So while I was at work yesterday, Dad cut it open and welded in another piece of pipe, and I mean that should work. I've got some spark plug boots, covers, protectors that I'll put on these plug wires just to ensure that any heat doesn't melt the plug wires. So we'll see how that works. Today, working on getting the train, well, as you can see, the car's up in the air off the ground. So I'm gonna work on everything underneath, getting the crossover pipe bolted on, get the transmission bolted to the motor the rest of the way. I've got 2 4 bolts holding it, so I just need to tighten up the bottom 2. Getting the torque converter bolted up, I've got to wait for bolts. The bolts I've got is a little too short, so gotta, yeah, get bolts, washers, space it out enough to where, you know, 1/8 of an inch of, you know, movement between. Yeah. So that's on the agenda for today. The crossover pipe and finishing rebuilding this Edelbrock, which I've got one jet that's stuck in here. That one. The jet does not want to come out, so gonna figure out a way to get the jet out. The rest of the jets came out. I've got a jet and meter and rod kit, so I can just start with a jet and meter and rod, see if it's running rich or lean, go from there. So I've got adjustability on the road. I'm going to take the whole kit, that way, say 20 miles down the road, I can check it, see if it's running rich or not, and adjust from there. So, got to finish rebuilding this. It's freed up. It's freed up real nice. I mean, it just like the action of this thing, just whapa, whapa. Works good. Works good. So that's on the agenda for today. There's not really much else to do. I've got a radiator hose I'm waiting on for the bottom here. It goes from there to there. So that priming my motor, putting the distributor in. Yeah, that's really about it to start it. And well, we've got to put the fuel pump on, put that back here somewhere. Excuse the mess. It's a mess in here. Oh, put that somewhere, probably back here around this rear wheel somewhere. Mini starter, got to put that on. Can't forget the mini starter, which I had bolts for it. What happened to the bolts? No, that's not the mini starter. Mini starter's back here. That's an LS starter I had in a box here that I bought at a Amazon return place thing. I bought it for $7, so I thought, why not? But no, it fits an LS. So I've got a mini starter here I had on this 350. Gonna just shim it, make sure it works. It worked perfectly with that motor. No reason it shouldn't work on this one. Gotta pull that power steering pump, get it on. But we're almost there. We are almost to the point where we can start this thing and, drive it down the road and test it. Man, does that turbo look good right there. Yeah, and I know there's a rat's nest of wiring here. Just shut your eyes, squint real hard, and you won't see it. But all in all, we are about done with getting this motor buttoned up, and hopefully maybe this evening, maybe tomorrow evening. See, my wife and I's got something to do, and Knoxville, which is about hour and a half away, so so tomorrow evening or possibly tomorrow morning we should be able to test drive this. Cross my fingers. If not, then Sunday. But we're right there. I do want to get at least, say, 100 miles down before the trip. That would be nice. That way, I ain't going and breaking down on the side of the road out to Bowling Green. But I've got to wait for those bolts for the torque converter. There's some things I can button up here, like power steering pump. I'll probably work on getting it pulled, putting it back in this, this serpentine belt setup, and then we'll go from there, since I've got to wait for bolts. So I'll catch you in just a minute. All right, got the power steering pump back on, pulley working on getting on, but I was getting tired of just smacking the hammer 2 inches, so decided I'd work on something else for a minute. So went underneath, tightened up the transmission bolts to the motor, the bell housing to the motor. Still waiting on the bolts to come back for the torque converter, but I found an issue. As you can see, the car is jacked up on one side to give it a little So let me shimmy under here and show you what's going on. Now, as you can see, it's a little tight fit underneath here. And if you look right in this area, you'll see a little oil leak there, that right there is where the oil level sensor goes in these oil pans. All it does is say, hey, you're low on oil, check oil, whatever, if it goes below that level. I didn't need that, so we cut it off. And now I've got a little oil leak right here. So jacking it up, hopefully it gets above the level where the oil is. I'm going to clean it and just stuff that thing full of JB Weld. That should be fine. Here goes me.